story of Outside begins in the midst of chaos, as the Abel family, Francis, his wife Iris, and their two sons, Joshua and Lucas, flee a zombie outbreak tearing through their city. Desperate for safety, Francis remembers his family's ancestral mansion, a secluded sugarcane plantation far from civilization, and hopes it might offer some refuge from the nightmarish world outside. But as the family soon discovers, the horrors within those walls may be even greater than the undead lurking beyond. When they arrive, Francis is met with a shocking sight. His father, a stern and distant man who shaped his childhood with cruelty, has taken his own life to avoid turning into a zombie. A nearby servant has also died after being infected. As Francis explores the old mansion, he finds his mother, a tragic figure who has already turned into a zombie. In a harrowing encounter, he is forced to confront and kill her, bringing up painful memories from his past. Francis puts on his father's old watch, a symbolic gesture, as if claiming a legacy he both despises and feels compelled to carry on. Francis puts on his father's old watch, a symbolic gesture, as if claiming a legacy he both despises and feels compelled to carry on. Over time, it's revealed that Francis harbors deep-seated trauma from his upbringing, marked by his father's strict punishments and confinement in the basement as a child. This unresolved pain bubbles to the surface as the family settles in the mansion. Francis's inner torment is only intensified by the strained relationship with Iris, which teeters on the brink of collapse. Francis has recently discovered that Iris was unfaithful to him before the outbreak, and that Joshua, their eldest son, is actually the biological child of Francis's estranged brother, Diego. Days pass, and tensions escalate. Iris is uncomfortable staying at the mansion, sensing the darkness in both the house and in Francis. She tries to convince Francis to take the family and find another safe place, but their attempt to leave ends abruptly when they're forced to abandon their van at a zombie-infested checkpoint. Left with no other option, they return to the mansion on foot, their hopes of escape dashed. Back at the mansion, Francis busies himself with preparations, restoring a semblance of normalcy by setting up a chicken coop, fixing the generator, and even putting up a Christmas tree. But beneath this facade, his obsessive behavior reveals a growing paranoia. He refuses to let the family leave, fueled by memories of his father's oppressive control over him. Iris begins to suspect that Francis's refusal to leave isn't about safety. It's about control, an echo of the prison his father once made of his childhood. Joshua, the eldest son, picks up a faint radio signal, a rare glimmer of hope indicating a safe zone somewhere nearby. Eager for a way out, Joshua brings this information to Francis, hoping he'll see reason. Instead, Francis mocks Joshua and shifts the conversation to teaching him how to fire a gun, rationalizing that survival skills are more useful than blind hope. Tragically, this act backfires. The gunshots attract a nearby horde of zombies, who soon besiege the mansion. In a twist of fate, Diego arrives unexpectedly, luring the zombies away in his vehicle and allowing the family a brief reprieve. The next day, Diego and Francis attempt to reconcile, but the old wounds between them remain too deep. Francis can't forgive Diego for the affair with Iris, and he resents his brother's favored status in their parents' eyes. Despite Diego's genuine offer to help the family reach the safe zone, Francis rejects him, driving him away at gunpoint. Before leaving, Diego hands Francis a map to the safe zone, should he change his mind. Iris, always perceptive, theorizes that the zombies are weakening and dying off naturally. Francis seizes this idea and spirals further into delusion, staging an attack on himself to convince his family that they're safest if they stay locked up. He goes so far as to barricade the mansion and chain up the doors, keeping him as prisoners inside the house. Over time, his behavior mirrors the abusive control his father exerted over him as a child. One evening, Joshua finds the map left by Diego and confronts his father over dinner. In a tense standoff, Iris breaks her silence, finally admitting that she wants to leave. Francis responds coldly, acknowledging that he's known all along that Joshua isn't truly his son. In a symbolic gesture, he produces the map but burns it in front of Iris, solidifying his grip over the family. Later that night, a wounded soldier named Corcuera stumbles upon the mansion, seeking refuge. He confirms that the zombie population has indeed started to diminish. Corcuera explains that he was led to the mansion by Diego, who sacrificed his life to buy the soldier a chance to reach them. Francis, devastated by this news yet hardened by his jealousy, keeps it to himself. The following morning, Joshua, now resolute, decides he can no longer live under Francis's control and leaves the mansion alone. Upon discovering this, Francis snaps, murdering Corcuera in a fit of rage and locking Iris and Lucas in the basement. That night, Lucas fakes illness to draw Francis's attention, giving Iris the opportunity to stab him with a sharp object, locking him in the basement and escaping with Lucas. But as they make their way to the front door, their plans are thwarted by Diego, now a reanimated zombie. He lunges toward Lucas, biting him in the struggle. Their screams awaken Francis, who wrestles with the ghosts of his past before finally breaking free from his basement prison. Confronting Diego, Francis kills his undead brother, but collapses in horror when he realizes that Lucas has been bitten. In a desperate act, Iris amputates Lucas's infected limb, hoping to save him. Determined to give his family a chance, Francis returns to the abandoned checkpoint in search of the van. His journey is tragically cut short, however, when he encounters Joshua, who is terrified and mistakes his bloodied father for a zombie. The boy fires, hitting Francis. As Joshua realizes his mistake, he collapses in anguish, apologizing to his dying father. In his final moments, Francis reaches out to his son, acknowledging him as his own, irrespective of blood, and dies peacefully. Grief-stricken but resolute, Joshua gathers his courage. He drives the van back to the mansion to rescue his mother and brother, leaving behind the mansion and the haunting memories it holds, but carrying with him a newfound resilience and determination to survive.